Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Analytics Instrumentation Sync for October the 30th. The first agenda item is from Radovan, which is just an async point, which I'll vocalize. It's regarding the personal information is logged in Snowplow via property and label issue, with a question for Ankit about if we need any additional action from the data engineering team. Ankit, do you have a response? Would you mind vocalizing?
Yeah, so I think we need to remove those data. So there are some data where we are exposing project path and all those things. So we need to remove those from the events. But I think Jonas, you will have more context around that.
Yeah, I think there is an issue. I'll try to find it with what is his name? Dennis Van Rooyen. Right, there was an issue I think assigned to him, or at least where he's involved, about cleaning up this. I think it was scheduled for next quarter, which means soon, starting soon. But it was, yeah. So I think we have to kind of collect as much data as we want to clean up, like as many things as we want to clean up, because it's pretty pricey in compute power to go through and update all that data. And at least the one you fixed this week, Ankit, with the front end events, I don't think that's in the issue, so we should update that. I'll find it and add it to the agenda.
Something that would be nice with this, I think, is if as we put together that list, if we also kind of make ourselves a little checklist for reviews to keep stuff like this from getting merged, because this is not the first time that we've had this issue. Like, obviously, there's many things we need to clean up, then that's many things that have been introduced.
Yeah, for sure. I don't have any insights into over how long time this has been added. I mean, some of them are also from non-internal events that got migrated. So it could be over like several years that it got added. But yes, for sure.
Do we have a template for MRs where that checklist would form part of, or what was like, did you have any idea of like where that could slot in?
That would live in our like code review guidelines in the docs for like our team.
And it's already in the documentation, right? That you shouldn't log.
Yeah, probably.
It's also in the CLI, right?
No, I don't
It's
think
not?
that the CLI mentions anything about what you shouldn't send,
Okay.
but that's a good idea.
I thought I saw something about what you should use additional properties for, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's just like a general description and explanation of what the additional properties is for.
Okay.
Yeah, Numana and I in our one-on-one want to discuss some good ideas about also updating the documentation for additional properties to make it more clear when to do what and to make it like a branching path. Because some rules apply when you don't have additional properties, some rules apply when you do, and as a consumer, can get confusing. Yeah, I've been through that path as a consumer, and I was left feeling not super confident after reading the documentation that I understand it all or that I understood it all.
Yeah, I'd like to also add more to that because, like, when you go through the documentation, you see like additional properties is one of the fields that you can add. But then, if you look at the things that you can add there, the property value and what's the last one?
Label.
Label, it's kind of confusing because then we know the data type they hold, right? But it's the names also do not give you more context. So like there's property under additional properties, and then it's kind of a bit confusing. But if you're using the CLI though, at least you get some context around why or what they should be used for. So we're thinking if it would be a good idea if we update that part of the documentation, or I mean to make it have the same I mean like have so users can also be able to understand the documentation based on the additional properties, what they are used for, just the same way people using the CLI might also be able to get such useful information. So,
Yeah, I definitely think so. But it would be good to hear from the team if there's any other suggestions.
I was wondering if we should, if we, so one of the things we often see logged, which we shouldn't log, is non-anonymized path. And I wonder if we could add it like just a check on any additional property if there's a like a slash in there or something to, and then make an allow list or something, or maybe put it in the event definition that slash is allowed. Like we could put that in, like in additional properties, have a property on the additional on each additional property. Well, to kind of allow it to hold slashes, and then add that to the validation, and yeah.
Yeah, like so from like a CLI perspective, that could be something like, hey, we noticed this has something we consider risky. Are you sure this should be sent? And have like an explanation of the things you should not send. And so then that would like cause that extra field to be added to the definition and then could be validated correctly.
But could you do it from like, could you notice that in the CLI? Like, wouldn't you need a data sample to do that? Like, you kind of need the event to be triggered to see that there's a slash in there.
Mm, yeah, that's fair.
Or it could also be that it's failing on test, like with an exception saying, this is not okay, and a good description, kind of like what we have with the um, legacy key path, where it kind of explains which files it should be in and so on. So it kind of explains you right away what you need to do and make you aware that, you know what I mean? It will also make it more clear in the review if there are changes to this file, or if this flag is set there in the event definition, that it's something to pay attention to. I don't know.
So I wonder, with these paths, did we actually get paths and any additional properties more than once in the past? Because I only remember that we had paths coming from front end, but it was expected because we anonymized them somewhere later on. I don't know, or maybe we anonymized them in the backend.
We anonymize them in the front end now because the events are sent directly from the
Right.
the front end. So actually checking for a slash wouldn't be enough. You would have to check, does this look like a anonymized path? So like, does it have namespace slash something? So it's more complicated than that, but the idea is kind of the same. We did have a few, and that has some, like, there's a list in this cleanup issue that I'll try to find. I don't know, 3-5 different times where we locked the path.
I see. Yeah, then I think it makes sense to do it. Yeah, another kind of sensitive data would be some kind of numbers that we would suspect to be IDs, right?
Yeah.
So another one which I noticed in the front end was like some people directly pass the page URL directly, and sometimes like they are not aware, like it's already been captured in the images with by pseudonymized. So we also need to take care of that in the review, and if we can automate that somehow.
Ankit, I have one question here. Thanks for discussion. I just jumped into the meeting. Maybe I didn't miss too much things, but I will read through that. And also, I spoke with Dennis. Actually, he asked and initiated this to ask you. So you said here, I think we need to remove the data for those fields affected. So you think something is already in data warehouse, we should delete, right? Or pseudo-anonymize. What do you think? Is there any leftovers for us as a data team? That was the question. Do we need to clean up something from our side? And what?
I think
Yeah.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
So there is some data we need to go back and clean up. It's unclear. We don't have a full list of that, but we'll make that list. I think
So.
Also, I don't know, there was some discussion with Dennis when we discovered this initially, and it's pretty pricey to go through it. So I wonder if we should do a little research and try to see if we can identify anything else that we should clean up.
Okay.
But I don't know. I think that's also I don't know. It didn't seem to Dennis back then that it was super time critical to get this cleaned up. It was more like stop logging it and we will clean it up next quarter. I think
that was the
question I got.
Yeah, that was the main idea, because probably we want to create some kind of issue or OKR for this to clean up the things. It was not time critical in that period of time, so I just asked, okay, I need to figure out what needs to be done. I don't know who will take this one, but yeah, just want to fully understand. But yeah, so actually after you define, you will send that list with us or something like what we need to clean up, and it can be costly, as you said, right?
Yep.
Good. That is what I need to know at this moment. Thanks.
Okay, anything else on that agenda item? Else we can move on. Going once, going twice. Right.
All good.
The next one from me is just a reminder of Tunisia's OKR outline. There's also some discussion about the key results we want to track to measure these. If you haven't already, or if you have some thoughts that you haven't posted yet, please do post it on the issue that I've linked there. And yeah, I'm just going to give it a second in case there's anything we want to discuss synchronously, in case anyone had a question. Okay, else we can move on. We can always discuss async, and that was, yeah, the main intent, just in case someone had a burning question. The next is a read only, but since we have a lot of time, I'll go ahead and read it. Just an FYI that there's a link to the team's technical roadmap investigation issue. I've already shared this in all the one-on-ones, so everyone should be aware. yeah, it's just a bunch of questions, bunch of answers, bunch of stuff to get us to think about what we want to do for the next 3, 6, 12 months. What we want to focus on. It doesn't have to be team issues, it could be individual. So if you personally feel like there's something that you think we could do to improve, or that if implemented could help you in your daily life, please also note it down there. And yeah, any questions about that? No, just see some shaking heads. Okay, unless there's anything else, I think we can stop the recording and then do some social time. Sound good? Cool.